Well, we decided to have another run to Boston and have a look around the market, and especially the auction market. Now this is held on a Wednesday, and I like to look at the auction, and there's all sorts of stuff that can be picked up. It was quite a while since we paid a visit to Boston and the church of St Botolph. We always like to look around the church. But this time we thought we'll have a look at the shops in the main street and see what's what.
Can't go across yet, no.
From this position, looking over at the market, the auction market, it looked quite empty. It looked to be much going off actually, and this is one of the reasons I'd decided to come back to Boston, to have a look in the auction market. Oh, when I got across the road and into the area, there was nothing there. There's just a small group at the far end were doing a small auction. Normally all this area is filled with bric-a-brac and items for sale. Really disappointed. But this is all there was. Don't know what's going on here. Usually there's rows and rows of things to be auctioned off, and it's usually piled up with stuff, but virtually nothing here. Really disappointed. Here's our friend Terry and his good lady with her back turned to us with the blue cardie. This group was interesting. These cars, these corgi, I think they were. There were some James Bond boxed items there, so I would have thought they'd have fetched some decent money later on. Also, the rest of the market's usually filled with veg and other produce, but looking round at the far end there, there's also nothing. Don't know what's happened to this market. It used to be absolutely jam-packed with stalls. Well, anyway, we decided to have a walk up the main shopping area and see if anything new or anything else has closed down. And just there's the memorial, the war memorial in the background there. A nice, well-kept area. A few charity shops up this street.
It used to be a baker's.
Things seem to have changed a bit since we were here last time. And we just turned down this area. We were planning to have a Costa coffee, but unfortunately we're shut. Don't know why. Quiet. Yeah, Costa shut. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, my good lady found a shop to her liking. And just further down now, approaching the bottom corner there. Here's good old Wilco. You always find a Wilco. And of course Greg's. Quite nice is this Greg's. It's a little sun trap. Get yourself a coffee or a tea or and a sandwich and just sit there, and it's quite enjoyable.
Some good yards.
This store here, called Rebus. Good lady decided to have a quick look inside. We've never been in here before. I think it's quite new.
Another one down there.
Some very nice items inside. There's also a small cafe where
You can move around now.
we managed to get ourselves a decent drink of coffee.
Tell you.
Nice and clean and airy. Elizabeth found herself some handbags. Some quite nice handbags here, good selection. On our way now up the main street towards the open air market at the far end. The street busker there, singing away, playing his guitar. And the street bus there, sounding its warning chime.
This is to let. Must be sitting down.
And singing well is this street performer. You can hear them all the way up the street. Just hope it don't interfere with my YouTube video, as just the YouTube police will be banning me. Well, here we are now in the main open air market, in the large open area. There again, not as busy as it normally is. There's quite a variety of items in this market. And most things what you need you can probably get here. It doesn't seem as busy as it normally does. It's strange. Whether it's out to do with the COVID, I don't know, but
Turn around now.
we'll now make our way over to the famous Boston Stump, as St Botolph is known as. It's the largest parish church in England, is the St Botolphs.
Seat.
Just sit in it. Hang on a minute.
5 to 12.
2 hours.
In this square, there looks to be quite a lot of foreign visitors sat around, and I just wonder if it's a meeting place for them.
Wick. Look at it.
Now we're just making his way down to the church, have a look inside. I think there's some changes being made, not too sure. I believe they've taken out a lot of the pews, made an open area. Seems to be the thing with a lot of churches today, they just take out all the pews and make a big open area and just put ordinary chairs in place when there's a service going on. I think it's a shame really ripping out the old pews. I mean, pews had character to churches, and I don't like to see them ripped out. Our local church had all its pews ripped out, and even the organ, a very expensive Belgian organ, it was all just dumped. Crying shame. Yeah, it looks like some of the pews have been taken out. At least they've left quite a few in. Thank goodness.
Amen.
This is just a little side gallery of local people's artwork and some very nice paintings, and they were all for sale. Some very talented artists. I like this one especially of the Beatles. Really captures them. St Botolph's Church, also known as the Stump and the largest parish church in England, and it's visible from miles away across the flatlands of Lincolnshire. Residents of Boston are known as Bostonians. Immigrants from Boston named several other settlements around the world after the town, most notably Boston, Massachusetts in the United States. St Botolph's Church was constructed during the 14th century. The tower known as the Boston Stump was added between the early 15th century and the early 16th century, and it stands at 272 feet tall, and for centuries it acted as a landmark for sailors. In the late 13th century, friars came to Boston. The friars were like monks, but instead of withdrawing from the world, they went out to preach. There were 4 orders of friars in Boston. The Dominicans, known as Black Friars because of the colour of their costumes, Franciscan or Grey Friars, Carmelites, and from the early 14th century, Austins or Augustines. The refectory or dining room of the friary was made into a theatre in 1965. And it's now Blackfriars Art Centre. Well, it's certainly a magnificent altarpiece in St Botolphs. All the intricate hand carving, it's amazing to see. All these brass plaques that's being set into these niches. Don't really know what they are. I think there must be people, famous people, or special seating areas at one time for notable people that lived in Boston. Not really sure. There's a magnificent brass lectern. Elizabeth in the background, just about to go up between the pews. The existing church was begun in about 1309 at the East End, as was customary. The tower was not begun until about 1450 by excavation of a deep, wide hole, indicating the architectural skill employed by the builders of the time. The tower remains structurally solid and has not required any restoration work to realign it, despite the haven being only 33 feet away from the original foundations built under water level. The tower was completed between 1510 and 1520 in the perpendicular style that had become popular during much of the 15th century, and a walkway at roughly 2/3 of the height of the tower encircles the edges, giving great views. I can vouch for this because I climbed up the 209 steps on a previous visit, and the views from this vantage point are really spectacular and well worth the effort of climbing up the steps. You realise it didn't really take long to build a tower, 1510 to 1520. It's unique, is that? I mean, it really is quick for building a tower. It's a relatively short period of construction for such a large church. I believe the original plan was to put a spire on top of the church, but I think it were made impossible by political changes that were starting to occur in England at the time. Just another little interesting thing about the tower. It became an important marker in World War II when Lincolnshire was known as Bomber County for all its air bases. British and American pilots would use the stump as a signpost to guide them back to base, and it also appears that the German Luftwaffe used the tower as a marker, but the town of Boston suffered very few bombings. Just looking out now at the River Witham, and there's the bridge, the new bridge over the river. Curious pub this. The walls seem to slope inwards. Looks like it's going to fall down. Right, we're off up one of the narrow streets now, which brings us back to the main square where the open air market is.
Yeah, go on.
Still the old cobbles on the road. Sometimes these narrow streets are awkward for anybody in on a mobility scooter or a wheelchair. It can be quite narrow. Elizabeth not too sure about this corner. Here we are now back in the main square with the market stalls. There's a view of the assembly rooms from 1822. I believe that's a Grade 2 listed building. The writer Daniel Defoe visited Boston in the 1720s. If you remember, Daniel Defoe wrote the novel Robinson Crusoe. Here we are again, off down one of the narrow back streets. A variety of small shops scattered about. We're now getting back to the place from where we started. The nice store which we went in, and they're back down towards Greg's where we shall have a cuppa. Can't keep up with her now, she's racing off. I'm going to have to start running here, I think. Well, she decided to visit one more shop again before we set off back to Skegness, so it's back up into the main street again. Now we're making his way back to the car park.
Hi, Palace. Everything's cleared away.
Now we're passing the old market there. It's all empty, everything's gone. Here we are at the car park. And that concludes our revisit to Boston in Lincolnshire. I hope you found it interesting, and thanks for watching.